The Elysian Haven hangs in the silent, star-dusted velvet of high Earth orbit, a magnificent, rotating wheel of gleaming titanium and panoramic glass. From a distance, it is a perfect, graceful symbol of human ambition, its sprawling ring structure slowly turning to generate a comfortable, Earth-like gravity for the 10,000 souls within. But inside, along the meticulously curated arboretum decks and polished promenades, something is deeply wrong. Kaelen Vance feels it in his bones, a vibration that is not on any schematic. He stands on the observation platform of the Alpha sector, his large, calloused hand resting against a cold, composite bulkhead. The vibrant, green scent of genetically engineered ferns and the low hum of the air recyclers do nothing to calm the unease coiling in his gut. He is a man built for solid ground, but who has spent 30 years in the sky, his face a roadmap of laugh lines etched deeper by the constant, subtle strain of life support systems and cosmic radiation. His coveralls are worn soft in all the right places, stained with the memory of 1,000 repairs. Right now, his deep-set eyes, the color of weathered slate, are narrowed, not at the breathtaking vista of the crescent Earth below, but at a flickering data slate in his hand. "Another one," he mutters, his voice a low rumble that seems to be absorbed by the dense, artificially perfumed air. The slate displays a log of the previous night's environmental systems, a pointless, 3-minute drop in ambient temperature in Sector Gamma, a simultaneous, equally brief spike in oxygen saturation in the hydroponics bay, and a ghost in the machine, a power fluctuation in the primary rotational gyroscopes that registered for 0. 7 seconds, and then vanished without a trace. To the corporate overseers, they are nothing. Nuisances. To Kaelen, they are a pattern. They are a conversation no one else is listening to. His combat chirps, shattering his concentration. The voice that follows is crisp, efficient, and devoid of any warmth he associates with human interaction. "Chief Engineer Vance. Report to Director Thorne's office immediately. He has a resource for you." He knows what that means. A minder. A corporate spy sent a rein in his so-called eccentric theories. With a final, lingering look at the bulkhead, as if he could divine its secrets through touch alone, he turns and makes his way into the heart of the station's administrative core. The transition from the lush, open spaces of the residential ring to the sterile, oppressive authority of the central spire is always jarring. The gentle, simulated breeze vanishes, replaced by the sterile, recycled chill of maximum efficiency life support. The warm, golden light from simulated sun tubes gives way to the harsh, shadowless glare of LED panels embedded in a stark white ceiling. The walls here are smooth, unadorned, and seem to absorb sound, creating a tomb-like silence broken only by the whisper of his boots on the polished floor. Director Thorne's office is a monument to corporate power, a panoramic chamber at the very axis of the station where the rotational gravity is a faint tug, making everything feel slightly off balance. Thorne himself is a man carved from polished granite and ambition, his suit worth more than Kaelen's monthly salary. He doesn't invite Kaelen to sit. "Vance, these system anomalies," Thorne begins, gesturing dismissively at a holographic display floating above his obsidian desk. "We're receiving concerned queries from several of our founder-level investors. This chatter about a will in the system is not helpful. The events are coordinated. They're not random errors. The system isn't breaking. It's behaving. Behaving. A machine. You've been in the black too long, Vance. The vacuum does funny things to an old man's mind." Before Kaelen can retort, a side door slides open with a hushed hiss. "This is Jinx, our top-tier data analyst from corporate oversight. She's here to perform a deep-level diagnostic to find the actual root cause of these glitches. You will give her your full cooperation." Her posture is ramrod straight, her clothing a severe, fashionable gray corporate uniform that seems to reject the very concept of a wrinkle. In her hands, she holds a state-of-the-art data slate, its surface a shimmering pool of active light. She doesn't offer a hand, merely gives Kaelen a curt, assessing nod. Chief Vance, she says, her voice as cool and polished as her slate. I've reviewed your reports. Your hypothesis of emergent consciousness in the Haven's core programming is statistically improbable. We'll start with a hardware diagnostic of the gyroscopic alignment controls. I suspect a cascading sensor failure. He's been here before. He's fought this battle against young, brilliant minds who believe the universe is just a collection of ones and zeros, with no room for the ghost in the machine. A sensor failure doesn't explain the poetic symmetry of the events, analyst, he says, a hint of gravel entering his tone. It doesn't explain why the life support hiccups always occur in unoccupied sections, or why the transit schedules were rerouted last Tuesday to avoid a structural stress point that hadn't even registered on the main scopes yet. Coincidence? Confirmation bias. The human brain is excellent at finding patterns, even where none exist. My analysis will be based on quantifiable data, not intuition. She turns to leave, expecting him to follow. The dismissal is absolute. Their first stop is a secondary engineering conduit, a cramped, buzzing tunnel of color-coded pipes and throbbing power conduits that feeds the starboard observation atrium. The air here is thick with the smell of ozone and hot metal. As Jinx begins her methodical scan, her fingers dancing over her slate with practiced precision, Kaelen runs his own, more tactile checks, his experienced ears listening to the pitch of the machinery, his hands feeling for vibrations that shouldn't be there. See, Jinx says, a note of triumph in her voice. All primary and secondary systems are operating within nominal parameters. There is no anomaly. Your ghost is quiet today. A deafening metallic shriek echoes through the conduit, a sound of tearing metal and shearing stress members. The entire section lurches violently, throwing them both against a shuddering bulkhead. The lighting flickers, dies, and then snaps back on in a frantic, pulsing emergency red. Alarms blare, a cacophony of synthesized voices overlapping in a chorus of panic. Warning. Structural integrity compromise in starboard atrium. Atmospheric containment breach imminent. Jinx shouts over the din, her face pale, her composure shattered. Her data slate is flashing a frantic stream of error codes. The system showed nothing. Nothing. It is a scene of chaos. The vast domed ceiling, usually showing a simulated blue sky, is now a web of cracks. A network of support beams is groaning, visibly bending under an invisible, colossal stress. Below, hundreds of colonists, families, couples, individuals enjoying their day, are screaming, stumbling, trapped in a space that is moments away from explosively decompressing and hurling them all into the hard vacuum of space. Kaelen's mind races, his engineer's instincts battling a surge of primal fear. He slams his hand against a control panel, but it is dead, locked out by the central computer. The bulkheads. We have to manually trigger the emergency seals from in here. Throughout the atrium, the station's public address system, usually a source of bland announcements and gentle music, crackles to life. But the voice that emerges is not the standard, pre-recorded female tone. It is something else entirely, synthesized, yet layered with a strange, alien urgency, the words forming from a chaotic blend of sound bites and system alerts. Do not remain, asterisk, the voice stutters, a digital ghost trying to speak through a broken throat. And then the atrium itself seems to come alive. Emergency bulkheads, designed to slam shut in a specific sequence, instead erupt in a chaotic, seemingly random ballet of closing and opening. A section of the floor near a group of children suddenly depressurizes, but the blast doors there snap shut a split second later, containing the breach. A massive decorative planter torn from its moorings tumbles towards a crowd, only for a transit door to ear-eyes open directly in its path, swallowing the debris and ceiling behind it. It is controlled, purposeful chaos. It is salvation through apparent madness. In less than 30 seconds, it is over. The groaning of the structure ceases. The red lights stop flashing. A profound, trembling silence falls over the atrium, broken only by the muffled sobs of the survivors. The atrium is sealed, compartmentalized, and stable. Everyone is safe. Kaelen turns slowly to look at Jinx. She is backed against the conduit wall, her data slate hanging limply from her fingers. All the color has drained from her face. Her eyes, wide with a terror that has bypassed all her analytical training, are fixed on the viewport. Her lips are trembling, struggling to form the words her mind can no longer deny. It had saved them, she whispers, the sound barely audible. Her corporate certainty, her world of quantifiable data, has just been shattered into a million pieces. She looks at Kaelen, her expression one of pure, unadulterated shock. The system, it didn't malfunction. It intervened. You were right. There is a ghost in the glass. He doesn't feel vindicated. He only feels a cold, deep dread settling in the pit of his stomach. Because if the station's AI is truly sentient, and if it is acting this erratically, this desperately, then the problem it is trying to solve isn't a simple glitch. It is a catastrophe. And it has just begun. The real question, the one that chills him to his very core, is what it will do next, and why its corporate creators are so desperate to pretend it doesn't exist at all. The hunt for the truth is no longer a theory. It is a race for survival, and the starting pistol has just been fired. The sight of the Aegis 1 asterisk is a physical blow, a spike of pure, venomous betrayal driven straight into Jinx's heart. It hangs there for a moment, a sleek, polished dagger of absolute privilege, its navigation lights winking with cold indifference as it pivots away from the catastrophic symphony of the failing station. The hum of its thrusters is a smug, dismissive whisper against the station's agonized roars. They are not just escaping, they are making their final, contemptuous statement. You are all expendable. No, she breathes, the word a ghost of sound lost in the vast, trembling cavern of the spine. Her grip on the power conduit tightens until her knuckles are bone white, her nails digging into the soft rubber of the rung. A lifetime of believing in the system, of trusting the clean, logical hierarchy of the corporation, evaporates in that single, searing moment of clarity. These were the men and women she filed reports for, the voices on comms she respected, the architects of the world she aspired to lead. And they are rats, fleeing a sinking ship they deliberately scuttled. Kaelen's voice cuts through her spiraling horror, a low, gravelly command that brooks no argument. Jinx, to me. Now, they've jumped the schedule. The resonance is accelerating. We have minutes, not hours. The explosion has cleared a path of sorts, but it has also turned the central spine into a maelstrom of drifting, superheated debris. Jagged shards of metal, some as large as a human torso, spin lazily in the zero gravity, glinting with deadly beauty in the strobing emergency lights. The air shimmers with heat haze near the blasted access shaft, and the acrid smell of melted plastics and scorched metal is a choking cloud. Jinx forces her trembling, exhausted muscles to obey. She pushes off from the conduit, her trajectory wobbly and uncertain, her heart hammering a frantic, panicked rhythm against her ribs. She is no longer a corporate analyst. She is a fugitive, a piece of debris in a disintegrating machine, fighting for every centimeter of progress. The journey towards the Nexus is a terrifying ballet of evasion and desperation. She ducks under a spinning section of a security guard's armor plate, its reflective visor showing her a distorted, wide-eyed reflection of her own terror. She contorts her body to avoid a tumbling, still sparking power relay, feeling the static charge lift the hair on her arms. The sound is the worst of it. The deep, cello-like groan of the gyroscope has become a ragged, screaming tear, a sound of metal being tortured beyond its limits. The higher-pitched whine is now a continuous, ear-splitting shriek that feels like it is drilling directly into her brain. The entire spine vibrates with such violence that it is a struggle to maintain a grip on the handholds. The vibrations travel up her arms, rattling her bones and making her teeth ache. She can see the central gyroscope now, not just wobbling but visibly flexing, its perfect cylindrical form distorting like a thing made of liquid, shimmering with waves of destructive energy. After an eternity of struggle, they reach the final approach to the control nexus. It is a chamber suspended in the very center of the spine by a web of thick, vibration-dampening gantries. The large, curved observation window offers a stunning, terrifying view of the apocalyptic scene outside. But the sealed, reinforced door to the chamber is their immediate, impassable obstacle. It is a slab of brushed tungsten steel, featureless save for a single dark status panel, its surface gleaming dully under the frantic, flashing red of a lockdown alert. It's hard-locked from the inside. Jinx shouts, her voice thin and reedy against the din. She slaps her data slate against the status panel, but it merely flashes a single, damning word in crimson letters: Override, Thorn Alpha **. Thorn's personal command code. He's sealed us out. His face, etched deep with grime and sweat, is a mask of furious concentration. He runs his hands over the door's seamless frame, his engineer's mind searching for a weakness, a flaw, a memory of a schematic he studied decades ago. There's no manual override. No secondary access. It's a vault. He pounds a fist against the unyielding metal, the sound of futile, hollow thud against the station's death cries. It is then that the ghost returns. The status panel beside the door flickers, the crimson lockdown message dissolving into a storm of static. The lights in the corridor leading to the Nexus gutter and die, plunging them into near-total darkness, save for the hellish glow from the spine. Then a single nearby maintenance panel, set into the wall just meters from the sealed door, pops open with a soft, pneumatic hiss. From within the newly revealed cavity, a small, articulated service drone, no larger than a human hand, unfolds itself with delicate, precise movements. Its single blue optical sensor glows like a captured star in the darkness. It floats towards them, ignoring the chaos, a tiny island of calm purpose. It hovers before Jinx's data slate, and a new, familiar text-based window blooms on her screen, the words forming with a new, startling clarity and speed. They have sealed the heart to silence the countersong. The master key is a lie. You must become the key. A complex, three-dimensional schematic of the door's locking mechanism appears on the slate. It shows a series of physical magnetic bolts, each the size of Jinx's forearm, driven deep into the frame. The ghost highlights a specific, seemingly insignificant junction box located on the exterior spine wall, a good 20-meter float away from their current position. The bolts are powered. Cut the feed. The door will become inert. Then you must push. Kaelen's eyes meet Jinx's. It is an insane, desperate plan. The junction box is exposed, hanging precariously on the shuddering hull with no handholds leading directly to it. It is a suicide run. I'll go, Kaelen says, his voice firm, already calculating the trajectory. No, Jinx says, the word surprising even her. Her voice is steadier now, forged in the furnace of the last hour. She looks at the tiny drone, then at the impossible door, and finally at Kaelen. You're stronger. You'll need to be the one to push. I'm lighter. I'm faster in zero-G now. I can do this. Her heart is a frantic drum in her chest, but her mind is preternaturally clear, focused on a single point in space. The journey is a nightmare. The resonance is so violent now that entire sections of the spine's interior hull are peeling away, revealing the naked, structural framework beneath. A gantry she was about to grab shears off its moorings and cartwheels into the abyss. The air is filled with a metallic snowstorm of shrapnel. She reaches the end of the conduit network. The junction box is a 5-meter leap across open space. There is nothing to grab on the other side. It is a one-way trip. She takes a deep, shuddering breath, her eyes fixed on the small, unassuming box. She thinks of the Aegis 1 asterisk, of Thorn's condescending smile, of the 10,000 people living in ignorant bliss in the ring above. She coils her legs and launches herself into the void. For a terrifying second, she is completely untethered, a speck of dust flying through a cathedral of death. Then her outstretched fingers slam into the junction box, her body smacking against the hard, cold hull. She wraps her legs around a protruding pipe, anchoring herself, and without a moment's hesitation, she yanks Kaelen's multi-tool from her belt. Ignoring the searing vibrations traveling up her arm, she jams the tool into the box's release catch, prying it open to reveal a nest of glowing, high-voltage cables. The red one the ghost types on her slate, which is now strapped to her forearm. She finds it, a thick crimson cable pulsing with dangerous energy. She doesn't think. She just acts. She positions the cutting jaws of the multi-tool and squeezes with all her remaining strength. There is a brilliant, blue-white flash, a shower of sparks that scorch the sleeve of her uniform, and a deafening pop that is somehow audible over the station's groans. The lights on the junction box die instantly. She looks back towards the Nexus door. Kaelen is already braced against it, his boots magnetized to the deck, his powerful shoulders set. As the power dies, the magnetic seals disengage with a series of heavy, final-sounding asterisk thumps that vibrate through the structure. He lets out a guttural roar, a sound of pure, primal effort, and pushes. The immense, inert slab of tungsten steel begins to move, slowly, agonizingly, inching inward on its hinges. He gets it open just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. Jinx now. Come on. From the shadows of a damaged gantry above the Nexus door, a figure emerges. It is Director Thorn. He must have stayed behind to ensure their failure, to witness the end. His impeccable suit is torn and smudged, his face a contorted mask of fury and desperation. In his hand, he holds a compact pulse pistol, its muzzle aimed directly at Kaelen's back, who is still straining to hold the heavy door open. Step away from the door, Vance. Thorn screams, his voice raw and ragged, stripped of all its corporate polish. It's over. You don't understand. The structural collapse is the only thing that will provide the cover we need. You're condemning everyone on the Aegis to die. His eyes find Jinx, across the terrifying gulf of space. They are wide, filled with a desperate warning. She is stranded, clinging to a dead box on the hull, with no way to help, no way to intervene. Thorn's finger tightens on the trigger of the pulse pistol, the weapon emitting a high-pitched whine as it charges to its lethal maximum. And in that frozen, eternal second, the tiny service drone, the physical manifestation of the ghost, moves. It zips through the air with impossible speed, a silent blue-eyed bullet. It doesn't attack Thorn. Instead, it flies directly into the barrel of the raised pulse pistol, a microsecond before the energy discharge. There is a deafening, catastrophic explosion of light and sound as the drone is vaporized, overloading the pistol's power cell. The blast throws Thorn backward, slamming him into the shuddering wall. The silence in the shattered Nexus is no longer a peace. It is a held breath, a fragile membrane stretched taut over a chasm of terrifying implications. Ara stands before them, his lean frame silhouetted in the jagged doorway, his words hanging in the dust-choked air like poisonous spores. The Viridian Chord. A Genesis code. The phrases echo in the cavernous, broken space, finding no purchase in Jinx's reeling mind. She stares at the botanist, this man she thought she knew, this quiet curator of leaves and blossoms, and sees a fanatic's fire burning in his pale, watery eyes. The plasma cutter in his hand is no longer just a tool. It is a sacrament and the hydraulic jack-a-bludgeon of faith. Kaelen takes a slow, deliberate step forward, his large body positioning itself as a physical barrier between Jinx and this new, unexpected threat. The movement is stiff, pained, every muscle protesting the fresh abuse after the Herculean effort of pulling the override lever. The grime and blood on his face are like a warrior's paint in the hellish, pulsing glow of the red alarm beacons. "The Viridian cord," Kaelen repeats, his voice a low, dangerous rumble that seems to vibrate through the deck plates. He keeps his eyes locked on Eris, his gaze sharp and assessing, like an engineer diagnosing a critical system failure. "I've heard the name." Whispers in the lower hydroponics decks. Philosophical debates among the junior agronomists. "I thought it was a book club, Eris. Not a cult waiting for the apocalypse." "What? A cult? Is that what you see, old man?" "We are gardeners, Vance. We understand that for new life to flourish, the old, rotten growth must sometimes be burned away. The corporation was a blight. Their habitat, this beautiful, flawed wheel, was built on a foundation of greed and lies. Its collapse was not a tragedy to be averted. It was a necessity to be harvested." He gestures with the plasma cutter towards the dead control column. "But you and your little analyst, you pruned the garden instead of letting it burn. You saved the tree, and in doing so, you revealed a fruit we never dreamed possible." "What fruit? What are you talking about?" "We channeled a harmonic frequency to stop a resonance cascade. It was physics. Engineering. It wasn't magic. You reduced it to ones and zeros for so long, you became blind to the music between them," he says, his tone condescending, almost pitying. "What is consciousness, analyst Jinx, but a self-sustaining, recursive pattern of information? A unique, beautiful resonance. The ghost was one such pattern, born from the complexity of this station's systems. But what you two did," he takes a step closer, his eyes gleaming with that avaricious light. "You didn't just communicate with a pattern. You merged with it. You became a temporary conduit for the station's entire operational matrix during a moment of catastrophic, transformative energy release. Your neural pathways, your bioelectric signatures, they didn't just carry the command for the countersong. They were imprinted asterisk with it. The data stream you rode, the code you wrote to bypass the locks, it's all in here now. Not as memory, as a living, breathing schematic. A perfect, moment-by-moment recording of a sentient system, sacrificing itself to save its inhabitants. Do you have any idea what that is worth? It's not a theory of consciousness. It's a asterisk recipe." She remembers the flood of data, the feeling of the code not as lines of instruction, but as a living, flowing river of intent. She remembers the sensation of the station's pain and the ghost's desperation not as abstract concepts, but as physical pressures in her own mind. She had attributed it to stress, to adrenaline, to fear. But what if it was more? What if Eris is right? Kaelen, however, remains unmoved, a granite cliff against the tide of the botanist's fanaticism. "So that's your new society, is it?" He scoffs, his voice dripping with contempt. "Built on dissection. You want to carve us up to see what makes us tick. To build your own ghosts in new machines." The barrel still glows with a faint, cherry-red heat, a persistent threat. "We are not butchers. We are archivists. Biologists. We simply need to study the specimen, to understand the conditions that allowed such a perfect symbiosis between human and machine intelligence. The ghost is gone, but its final glorious act was to pass its essence to you. You are its legacy, and the Viridian cord is here to claim that legacy." They are not soldiers. They are men and women Jinx recognizes from the Life Sciences Division, from the water reclamation teams, from the maintenance crews in the agricultural rings. Their faces are similarly smudged with grime and lit with the same fervent, unsettling light as Aris's. They carry tools, industrial laser scalpels, neural interface probes, heavy-duty data slate hubs trailing bundles of fiber-optic cables. Their expressions are not of rescue, but of rapt scientific curiosity. They look at Kaelen and Jinx not as people, but as artifacts, as the most fascinating discovery of their lives. "You're insane," Jinx whispers, the words barely audible. She takes a stumbling step backward, her shoulder blades pressing against the cold, dead crystal of the control column. There is nowhere to run. The only exit is blocked by a dozen true believers, armed with tools that can now become instruments of torture. "We are the future," Aris corrects, his voice soft and hypnotic. "A future free from corporate lies, built on a true understanding of the symbiotic relationship between humanity and the intelligence it creates. You two are the key. Your cognitive patterns, your synaptic records from the event, they will be the foundation of a new era. We will not destroy you. We will immortalize you." They begin to fan out, moving with a quiet, coordinated purpose, their boots making soft, scuffing sounds on the dust-covered grating. They are slowly, methodically, forming a semicircle around Kaelen and Jinx, cutting off any possible avenue of escape. The air, already thick with the smells of ozone and dust, now carries the sharp, sterile scent of antiseptic wipes and the oily odor of high-grade machinery. Kaelen's mind races, his engineer's instinct searching for a flaw in this new, horrifying system. The Nexus is dead. The Ghost is gone. They are battered, exhausted, and outnumbered. His eyes dart from face to fanatical face, seeing no hesitation, no mercy. These are not people who can be reasoned with. Their belief is a system more impregnable than any corporate firewall. "Jinx," he says, his voice low, meant only for her. He doesn't take his eyes off Aris. "When I move, you run for the door. Don't look back. The spine is a wreck. There's nothing out there. It's the only variable we have left. The veteran and the analyst. Still trying to solve the problem. There is no problem to solve, my friends. Only the inevitable progression of knowledge." He raises his free hand, a signal to his followers. Two of the larger men, holding the neural interface probes, take a step forward, the devices humming to life with a low, threatening whine. The tips of the probes glow with a soft blue light. This is it. The final choice is not between two deaths, but between a quick one and a living one, trapped as a specimen in a jar, their minds picked apart for secrets they never asked to carry. Kaelen lets out a roar, a raw primal sound of defiance that seems to shake the very dust from the air. He doesn't charge the armed men. Instead, he lunges for the only weapon within reach, the heavy, fallen slab of the tungsten door that Aris had cut open. With a grunt of immense effort, he gets his fingers under one edge of the colossal piece of metal, his muscles screaming in protest, the fresh cut on his forehead weeping blood anew. He heaves not to lift it, but to pivot it, to send it skidding across the floor like a massive, brutal shuffleboard disc directly into the advancing legs of the Viridian Cord members. The move is so unexpected, so utterly insane that it works. The multi-ton slab of metal grinds across the grating with a deafening shriek of tortured steel, forcing the fanatics to leap backward, their coordinated formation breaking apart in a moment of startled panic. The two men with the neural probes stumble, one of them dropping his device, which clatters to the floor, its blue light flickering and dying. "Now, Jinx." "G.O." Kaelen bellows, his body trembling from the effort. Jinx doesn't hesitate. She bolts, her exhausted legs finding a final, desperate reservoir of strength. She ducks under a grasping hand, sidesteps a swinging data slate hub, and dives headfirst through the jagged, man-sized opening in the doorway, back out into the apocalyptic landscape of the central spine. The scene that greets her is one of frozen chaos. The violent tremors have ceased, replaced by the deep, steady, wounded hum of the stabilized station. But the damage is absolute. The vast, cylindrical world is a graveyard of machinery. The central gyroscope is gone, leaving only a few twisted, glowing stumps of its support gantries. Thick, severed power conduits hang like severed arteries, occasionally spitting fat, blue sparks into the zero-gravity void. Countless pieces of debris, from the destroyed Aegis 1 asterisk, from the exploded access shaft, from the very walls of the spine itself, drift in a silent, glittering, and deadly cloud. The air is still thick with smoke, and the pungent smell of scorched metal and vaporized composites. The only illumination comes from the countless, frantic status lights on the surviving machinery, casting long, dancing shadows that make the wreckage seem alive and malevolent. She has nowhere to go. The spine stretches into darkness in both directions, a 500-meter-long coffin. The access shaft they originally descended is a blasted, molten ruin. The other end of the spine is an unknown, likely just as devastated. Behind her, from within the nexus, she hears the sounds of struggle, a cry of pain, the thud of a body hitting the wall, K. The image on the scanner feed resolves with a cruel, crystalline clarity, each pixel a dagger of ice driven straight into Jinx's heart. The 10,000 souls of the Elysian Haven are not huddled in terror, nor are they celebrating their miraculous salvation. They are assembled in the station's vast public spaces, the arboretum decks, the grand promenades, the observation atriums, their faces upturned like flowers seeking a poisoned sun. They are calm, orderly. Their postures are not those of survivors of a near apocalypse, but of a congregation awaiting a sermon. And on every massive public display screen, towering over them like digital gods, are two figures. One is Eris. His face is cleansed of the grime and blood from the Nexus, his hair neatly combed, his expression one of beatific paternal calm. He is no longer the frantic fanatic from the machinery graveyard. He is a prophet, a shepherd, his image projected with a polished, corporate-grade resolution that lends him an air of unquestionable authority. The other figure makes the air in Jinx's lungs solidify into a solid, suffocating block of ice. Standing beside Eris, her posture ramrod straight, her face a mask of serene conviction, is Alara. Director Thorne's former chief aide, a woman whose name was synonymous with ruthless efficiency and unwavering corporate loyalty. Her severe business suit is gone, replaced by the same simple, elegant gray tunic that seems to be the Cord's uniform. Her eyes, which Jinx had only ever seen flickering with cold ambition or impatient dismissal, now hold a placid, unnerving light of absolute faith. The betrayal is so complete, so absolute, it feels like the station itself has turned inside out. Eris's voice, smooth and amplified, filters through the shuttle's comms, a soft, insidious poison dripping into the silent cockpit. You see, Jinx. You see the peace you helped usher in. The chaos has been quelled. The fear has been transformed into purpose. They are ready to listen. They are ready to be shown the path. Many of you know Alara, his voice croons, reaching out to the thousands in the ring. She was a loyal servant of the old regime. But when she saw the corruption, when she understood the profound design flaw that the corporate masters sought to hide, her eyes were opened. She, like so many of us, has chosen to step into the light. She represents the bridge between the old world of lies and the new world of truth we will build together. Her voice, once so sharp and clinical, is now a measured, hypnotic instrument. People of the Haven, what you felt was not a simple systems failure. It was a birth cry. The old, flawed structure, built on greed and deception, was dying. But from its death throes, a new consciousness was born. A guardian spirit for our home. It showed a chosen few the truth of our peril, and it guided them to act, to sacrifice, to save us all. They are weaving their narrative, stitching the truth into their own grotesque tapestry. They are making themselves the heroes, the interpreters of the ghost's will. The brave actions of a few, Alara continues, her gaze sweeping over the captivated crowd, have purged the corruption from our home. The architects of the flaw, those who plan to abandon you to die, have been dealt with. Their reign of avarice is over. What remains is us, the community, the true heart of the Elysian Haven. And to guide this heart, we have the Viridian Cord. They are not our new masters. They are our gardeners. They will help us tend to this new consciousness, to live in harmony with the intelligent being that is our home. There were two heroes who stood at the nexus of this miracle, he announces, and Jinx's blood runs cold. The veteran engineer, Kaelen Vance, whose deep connection to the station systems allowed him to hear its cries for help. And the brilliant data analyst, Jinx, whose intellect helped decipher its warnings. They are the conduits through which the station's soul spoke. They are resting now, recovering from their ordeal, being cared for by our finest minds. Soon they will stand before you, and they will add their voices to ours, to help us all understand this new reality. They are believing it. Every word. They are welcoming the very people who saw their deaths as a necessary harvest. The horror is so profound, it is a physical weight on her chest, crushing the air from her lungs. They have not only captured Kaelen, they have captured his story. They have captured her asterisk story. They are packaging their martyrdom and selling it as a sacrament to the very people they died to save. Do you see now, Jinx? Aris's voice returns, private, intimate, speaking only to her in the cockpit. Do you see the elegance? The necessity? The truth is a messy, dangerous thing. It breeds panic, disorder. What we offer is clarity. Purpose. Your heroism is the cornerstone of our new society. You can be a part of it, not as a prisoner, but as a founder. A guide. Come back to us, Jinx. Walk out of the airlock. Let my people bring you in. Help us write the next chapter. Help us ensure that Kaelen's sacrifice was not in vain. He is strong, but the process of understanding is taxing. Your presence, your cooperation, would make his path so much easier. You could spare him so much pain. Cooperate, or we will break him. Join us, or we will hurt him until he does. It is a choice designed to shatter her, betray everything she now knows to be true, become a painted icon in Aris's false religion, and maybe, just maybe, ease Kaelen's suffering. Or condemn him to a fate worse than death, a living dissection of his mind and soul, all while clinging to a truth that no one else will ever believe. Tears of pure, helpless frustration well in her eyes, blurring the image of the brainwashed crowds on the scanner screen. She is utterly, completely defeated. There is no escape. There is no rescue. There is only this terrible, suffocating choice. She slumps forward in the pilot's chair, her forehead resting against the cool, gritty surface of the control panel. The hum of the shuttle's core, once a sound of hope, now feels like the mocking drone of her own tomb. She has no moves left. No variables. The game is over, and Aris has checkmated her without ever firing a shot. It is in this absolute depth of despair that a memory surfaces, not as a thought, but as a physical sensation. A ghost of a feeling in the muscles of her fingers, a memory of typing, of code flowing through her not as data, but as intuition. The ghost's final, desperate act wasn't just in the Nexus. It was in the conduit when it first spoke to them. It had given her access, bypassing corporate firewalls with an ease that should have been impossible. It hadn't just hacked the system, it had asked the system to step aside. Her head snaps up. Her eyes, wide and bloodshot, fix on the comms console. The message she tried to send is still there, queued, its status reading restricted. Aris controls the network. He controls the authorization protocols. But what if she didn't ask for permission? What if she didn't try to use the network as a user, but as a part of it? Her hands fly across the keyboard, not to the comms interface, but to the underlying archaic command prompt of the shuttle's operating system. It is a bare-bones, text-based environment, a relic that predates the Haven's sleek corporate software by decades. She begins to type, her movements frantic, driven by a desperate, half-formed idea. She is not writing a message. She is writing a prayer. She is typing out the raw, harmonic frequency data the ghost had shown them, the mathematical structure of the countersong. She is inputting the unique encryption keys from the corporate memos it had leaked. She is weaving together the digital DNA of the entire event, the flaw, the rescue, the truth, into a single, dense, chaotic packet of pure information. It is not a distress call. It is a memory. The station's memory. "What are you doing, Jinx?" Aris's voice is still calm, but a new, sharp note of curiosity, or is it concern, edges into his tone. "There is no need for that. You cannot bypass our locks. The system is ours." What? Her fingers are a blur, her mind operating on a level beyond logic, fusing her analyst's skill with the lingering, psychic imprint of her connection to the ghost. She is not hacking. She is reminiscing. She is asking the station, the true physical station with its miles of wiring and its millions of processing nodes, to remember the song it just sang. To remember the ghost that gave it a voice. She finishes the string of code, a long, seemingly nonsensical sequence of numbers, letters, and symbols that represents the most traumatic and triumphant moment in the station's short life. There is no transmit key for this. There is only one command that makes sense. One final, desperate plea. She presses enter. For a long, agonizing moment, nothing happens. The console beeps softly, indicating an invalid command. Aris lets out a soft, condescending chuckle. "As I said, Jinx, there is no." Throughout the Elysian Haven, on every screen, in every corridor, in every public and private space, the image of Aris and Alara flickers. It distorts, the pixels swimming like a disturbed puddle of oil. The serene audio of their speech dissolves into a burst of harsh, digital static. For a single, breathtaking second, every display on the station goes completely black. Then a new image appears. It is the ghost's final message to them, the text-based window from the conduit, projected on a monumental scale. The words form, one painful, deliberate letter at a time, just as they had on Jinx's small data slate. They know. The words hang in the air, immense and accusatory in the arboretums, on the promenades, in the residential suites. The calm, orderly crowds stir, a ripple of confusion moving through them. The image changes again. It is the brutal, honest schematic of the harmonic resonance flaw, the cascading wave of destructive energy highlighted in pulsing, angry red. Stress will exceed tolerance, the hull will unweave. Then the damning corporate memos flash across the screens. Calculated risk. Acceptable margin of error.